All right, everybody. Here we are, day after the game. Alabama wins 10-0 in Death Valley. It was really fun to watch. It was a game I enjoyed. In this era of college football, and where you're watching games, numbers like 63 to 52, scores are just being ridiculous, especially in a bowl season. It's always good to come back and see a game that is a defensive-minded game. It's my favorite. I love watching defense. And so to see this game go 10-0, it was really fun. It was good. Now, when I predicted, in my prediction video for this game, I thought Alabama would score more. I even gave LSU a couple of scores. I didn't think it would go down like this. Not because I didn't think these two defenses weren't that good. It's just that I thought some factors in the game would lend more to Alabama being able to score a bit more. Whereas I thought LSU would be shut down, but holding them to nothing was absolutely incredible, and I think that was a byproduct of how this game turned out. It turned into a classic Alabama versus LSU rivalry, just dogfight boxing match. It's just throwing haymakers at each other to see who goes down first, and it was good to see. One thing I gotta get off my chest immediately is that I think Dave Aranda just earned himself a pay raise at LSU. They should definitely look into getting him some more money for what he did just for this game alone. It was an amazing scheme. Great job of basically making Alabama one-dimensional. And that it was a little bit because of play calling too on Alabama at the beginning, but also because his scheme dictated that. His goal was to just get in Jalen Hurts' space and don't allow him to run the read option. And they did that for the most part, especially early on in the game. And they were going to force Jalen Hurts to basically throw the ball. And not only throw the ball, but throw the ball down the field, not sideline to sideline, because they knew that they were fast enough and athletic enough to make the tackles on the receivers and running backs to the outside on those short passes. And they did a great job of executing that game plan. Dave Aranda, magnificent job. The whole time I noticed, and I'm going to go back and look at the game a little bit more because there's just so much there I wanted to see. He had Arden Key and Dwayne Thomas. Dwayne Thomas was the cornerback, number 13. Arden Key was the defensive lineman, number 49. Arden Key was standing up as like at an outside linebacker-like spot on the right side of the defensive line, which is near Cam Robinson's side. And his job, basically, was to set the edge over there and not allow Jalen Hurts to run around the corner. Simultaneously, few times throughout the game, Aranda sent Dwayne Thomas from that nickelback spot on the blitz from the slot, forcing Jalen Hurts to get rid of the ball or try to make a play happen. And what ended up happening was that a lot of times they got to Jalen Hurts and he hit his hand, the ball dropped out, he fumbled one, he had an interception, he wasn't able to run, he got sacked a couple of times. Maybe 3 times, I forgot the exact number. But it worked out really well. And what they were basically saying is that Alabama, you're not going to beat us with Jalen Hurts' legs. You need to throw the ball down the field. And for the longest time, we did not do that. And so now I'm just going to jump into, before I do that as well, I also just want to give Lane Kiffin some credit. I just watched a LSU Dad video. I'm sure some of you guys already know him, TJ LSU Dad. And he brought up a good point, and I noticed it last night. Lane Kiffin deserves some credit for what his adjustment basically in the fourth quarter when he realized that it took him a long time. I was surprised, but Jalen Hurts is the key to us running the ball, and so what he did was he spread LSU out. He put 4 receivers on the field, usually 3 wide receivers and the tight end OJ Howard, and he called QB draw, running right at the middle, which is what I noticed the whole game. Because LSU was so focused on setting the edges, they didn't really have a lot of support behind their defensive linemen like Lakota, number 99, Godchild, number 57. They were LSU's last resort at the middle for stopping the run on their run defense. And so we should have been running the ball there the whole time. And so I just wonder why it took so long to do that. So here we go. I'm going to get into some of these plays. So right at the beginning of the game, on Alabama's first sack, when Ryan Anderson got the sack and Tim Williams was in there too, I feel like not Josh Malone, I'm thinking about Tennessee. Malone, number 63 on the LSU offensive line, he threw an elbow into Anderson's back. And I feel like that didn't get called, or I was wondering did anybody else see that? Can somebody let me know what they saw there? I can't wait till I rewatch the game to see, but it looked like there was a malicious play. Also, Alabama, man, by the time it was the 8-minute mark of the first quarter, Alabama had at least 4 players with at least half a sack. Amazing. Tim Williams, Ryan Anderson, Jonathan Allen got in there, and who else? It was somebody else got in on I think was it Tomlinson or somebody got in on at least half a sack there, and it was pretty amazing. I noticed that Charks, the LSU wide receiver, his 41-yard catch on Marlon Humphrey, it was just a great play by him. That was around the 10-10 mark of the first quarter. Uh, Humphrey waited too long to turn around, which is what usually happens to him when he makes a mistake, getting beat down the field. But he was right there, just that he turned around just a tad too late, and the LSU receiver made a great play on the ball. So I'm glad that he was there, just he has to turn around faster, which we've been saying all year. Receivers had trouble holding on to the ball early, especially Ridley and Stewart. There was a couple of times where Jalen Hurts had him on bubble screens or like a little flat out plays. He threw the ball out to him and they dropped it or bobbled it. And I was like, that's really weird. That usually doesn't happen. They seem to be mentally out of it for a second. As I also noticed, like I said, LSU intentionally attacked Hurts. Dwayne Thomas coming on that slot blitz and Arden Key making sure he can't run. That was an excellent game plan. Somebody give that Dave Ronda a raise. Also, it was really good to see Anthony Jennings in early for Alabama until he made that mistake and tried to get in the fight, and it looked like I didn't see him anymore. He came back in a little bit, but he got in trouble there. He was in early for Alabama at 5:15 mark, and he made an impact already. Number 33, look out for him. One thing that made me frustrated was that we were in the shotgun on the goal line. It was within 3 minutes of the first quarter. So Alabama had moved all the way down the field. And we were in the shot. Oh, no. We didn't move all the way down the field. We were backed up onto our goal line. We were backed up into our goal line, like in LSU's red zone. And we was within 3 minutes of the first quarter. And we were in a shotgun. And I'm like, why are we in the shotgun on a goal line? It's like, get in the I formation, run the ball, hand the ball off to the fullback, hand the ball off to the running back, do something. Instead of being in the shotgun and trying to do shotgun runs. And it almost ended up with the safety with Joshua Jacobs. And I just thought that was bad design there. I feel like we should be in an I formation in that situation. Also, one thing I noticed that Hurts had a really good fake early on in the game. It tricked me. It was like about 45 seconds on the clock left in the first quarter. He faked the ball to Damian Harris, and the camera followed Damian Harris, and I followed Damian Harris, and next thing we know, Hurts was running around the right side. I just thought that was really good. On one play, Lewis Neal blew Lester Cotton up. The LSU defensive lineman Lewis Neal, number 92, he just knocked Lester Cotton into the backfield. And that was the end of the first quarter. That was something. Also, I was wrong about Tony Brown. I thought they would put him at the outside spot and move Anthony Avery in. Well, he actually played nickelback, and he played nickelback pretty well. He was the slot corner playing on the slot receiver. He did a great job. I saw him there for the first time. So I noticed him there about the 14-minute and 7-second mark of the second quarter, and he played there the whole time, and he looked pretty good. Also, I just want to say that I had a question while in the middle of the game at some point with Marlon Humphrey. I was like, he struggles at times, and I wonder why. I think I said this after that point when he was on the deep pass in which Edling let go, and the receiver, I think it was Chark again, or maybe Doral, running toward the sideline, and they just barely missed the pass because the receiver's foot landed out of bounds. And Marlon Humphrey was there, beaten by a step, and if he had been in bounds, it would have been another big play on Humphrey. And the crazy part is, I wonder why he struggles, because he runs a 4.3 40. He's 6'1", he's strong, he has the measurables. It just seems like sometimes he just, his mind, he becomes undisciplined, he loses. And get it together, Marlon. Also, I saw Hurts pick the wrong hole on a QB draw about the 8:15 mark of the second quarter. He could have run up the middle and probably had a first down on that play, and he just ran into the back of his line for some odd reason. I had to go look at that play again. Also, Scarborough, man, he's coming along since that Tennessee game. His straightforward style of running, it was good for that game. Unfortunately, he twisted his knee, and that took him out for the rest of the first half. And we were really starting to develop a inside running game, and that was working. I'm just surprised they went away from it, mainly because I think they did, because Damian Harris and Joshua Jacobs don't have the strength and straightforward running style that Bo Scarborough does. And so that was a tough thing to see. I think if Scarborough had stayed in, we would have had more success on offense. It would have produced more points. One thing I also noticed is that our linebackers, Sean Dion Hamilton and Reuben Foster, they flow to the ball so well. Around the 4 minute mark of the second quarter, I saw a play where they both just sidestepped their blockers and flowed to the left and met Leonard Fournette in the backfield. Speaking of Fournette, he was an afterthought. Couldn't do anything. Maybe he had like a couple 6 to 9 yard runs, but other than that, nothing. Uh, this play. This play, and if you were watching the game and you saw CBS and Gary Danielson and Brandon Langford, they went crazy when they saw it because Deron Payne, he killed right guard number 76. Butte, I think was his name. I think that was him. He got killed. And he just, Ron Payne so strong, he knocked him over right on his back and went right for the quarterback. It was around the 1:15 mark of the second quarter, as before they went to halftime. And if you have no other reason to watch the game, just go watch it for that reason. Go find it on YouTube. Just watch that play. That's one of the highlights. That should have been one of the highlights that they'll use when they talk about this game. Also, on that Hail Mary attempt before the half ended, Fitzpatrick played that ball really well, and I see why they put him at safety. His ball skills are amazing. He was right where he needed to be. He tried to go for the pick, which they don't teach you to do. Trying to be a playmaker there, he probably could have returned it for a touchdown. That would have been our knot. But he made a great play on the ball. To start the third quarter, we had a coverage sack. LSU got the ball back first, and the first pass play, the first play, LA tried to go deep or go somewhere in the intermediate part of the field. Everyone was covered, and we got a sack. It was a good overall team pass for us. All of our defensive linemen influenced where he was going there. Speaking of, I saw Sean Evans in the game. I think I'll talk about that later. On the next possession, Jalen Hurts finally, and I think Nick Saban said we had to go down to the field because we weren't running the ball and the sideline stuff wasn't working and the read option wasn't working. We had to go down the field to make LSU respect the pass, and this is where the game changed. This is where the Florida game changed. Even though we didn't score into the fourth quarter, I can see LSU breaking down after this point because they got scared of the deep pass. Jalen Hurts probably threw his best deep pass of the year when he hit Ardarius Stewart going down the field. At the 13-30 minute of the third quarter, you see that play, and it was like the best deep pass he's thrown. The receiver didn't really have to wait on it. It could have been slightly better, but the receiver didn't really have to wait on it. The receiver ran under the ball and caught it, and it was a deep pass to the 10-yard line. It was a good play. Also, Stewart beat Jackson, who I think was LSU's weakest corner, number one, and so we should have went after him a little bit more in some deep patterns, which I think we should see more often. Just take some shots for Jalen, at least 5 of them each game. That'll open up the defense so we can run up the middle and do the sideline passes. I'm just surprised we didn't call more deep passes in the game. On the goal line, on those goal line runs that we had right after this deep pass, which we turned the ball over on fourth downs. Ridiculous. We could have got 3 points at least. Hurts should have handed the ball off on both of those goal line runs. He took the ball and kind of tried to run on one play. He tried to run up the middle. Other play, he tried to run around the left, which was the fourth down play. But also, I have a question. Did anybody really see it? I don't know what the 4 plays were there. I didn't see 4 plays. Was that 4 plays from after the deep pass? We were on the 10-yard line. I must have missed the first play because the only plays I remember is the first Hurts run, the third down Damian Harris run that got caught from behind by Riley, number 40, and then the Hurts run that he tried to go around the left. But I didn't see the first play, and so that's why when it was 4th down and LSU got the ball back, I was like, wait, what just happened? So if somebody can help me out there, let me know what that first play was because I missed it somehow. Unless, we somehow got our down taken from us and I missed it. I'll have to look for it in the game. This was one of my favorite moments of the game. This should be a defensive highlight too. Anthony Avery played textbook coverage. Around the 11-minute mark of the third quarter, he was just running down the field right next to the guy, and he had his head turned around the whole time. He was looking at the ball, and this is how we are supposed to play. I think this is how Nick Saban and Jeremy Pruitt teach it to these cornerbacks, and sometimes they just don't do it. But he was on the LSU receiver. I think it was Durrell or Chark, whoever all the LSU receivers are, and he was running down the field, or maybe Dupree. And he turned around, and I think he would have had to pick if the LSU receiver hadn't like kind of pulled him down a little bit, but he reached that one arm up and knocked the ball down. Textbook coverage by Anthony Averett, and that is amazing. Also, Hurts made a really bad decision within the 8-minute mark of the third quarter when he tried to cut back. This is a play where he took a sack. Where he started off running to the left, and then he tried to make a play and cut back to the right, but it's like 3 or 4 LSU defenders were waiting from him, and he lost a lot of yards on that play. He should know better not to cut back against LSU, seeing as how athletic and fast they were since the beginning of the game. I just noticed also Hamilton continued to make great plays in the front seven. He he stopped Leonard Fournette from having 50 yards rushing in this game. He stopped Leonard Fournette from having a really good run because Leonard Fournette was about to run up the middle when they were on their goal line backed up, and he reached out and grabbed Leonard Fournette's leg and wrapped him up textbook and brought him down. That was like at the 7:30-minute mark of the third quarter. Great tackle by Sean Deion Hamilton. Oh, also, we finally see Humphrey making a play. He had Traven Durrell covered up completely at the 6-minute mark of the third quarter. He did a really good job of cutting him off, too. He cut him off, but without doing it with a penalty. He didn't like impede the receiver from getting the ball. He outran the receiver and got in front of him and made the receiver slow down. And that is really good coverage. That shows you Marlon Humphrey's athleticism. And that's what we expect to see from him all the time on those deep passes. Reuben Foster blitzed again. Oh, it was this play, 5:18-minute mark of the third quarter. Reuben Foster blitzed and shed a block so well. I was like, man, I see why we were so high on him. I can see why NFL scouts were kind of drooling at the prospects of this guy. He's playing really well. He's gotten so much better since his first year. So that play was really good. Go look at it, the 5:18-minute mark. Also, I just noticed we kept trying to do misdirection and the sweeps and the not against Dave Aranda's defense. No, let's not do that again. Let's not do that next year because he had it figured out. He set the edges, so there's no way these misdirection runs are going to work when he's blitzing corners and setting the edges because they're going to run right into the defenders. So we should have stopped doing that a long time ago. Also, it was a gutsy call to go on fourth down, to go for it on that 4th and 1 by Nick Saban to start the fourth quarter, and it worked. It was a great play. It was good, and that led to our first touchdown of the game. So great call by Nick Saban to go for it and get it in. Also around when Scarborough finally got back in, there was a play around the 13-minute, 50-second mark of the fourth quarter, right before the touchdown. Scarborough should have cut back around. He should have cut back around when he started running left. He should have cut back to the right because it was open. The line had blocked everybody this way, and he should have just ran back to the right, and he would have probably got a first down, maybe even a touchdown, depending on if he had broken some tackles or not. So he had to work on his vision. I think that's one of the ways that Damian Harris and Joshua Jacobs are better than he is right now. But his physical style and straightforward running, it was perfect for that game. Also, I noticed around the 12-minute, 35-second mark, Ryan Anderson beat Malone again. Malone, I remember I told you he's the guy who put the elbow into his back earlier. He beat him again to cause Danny Etling to throw his interception. Ryan Anderson beat him right off the line of scrimmage, hit Etling's arm, and made Etling throw the ball flutter, and Minkah Fitzpatrick caught it. Minkah Fitzpatrick showed off his ball skills there again. He's amazing at playing the ball, and he was able to jump down and catch that ball and scoop it up before it hit the ground. Great play. Also, after we got the ball back, around the 10-minute, 45-second mark of the fourth quarter, Scarborough had this great block on the Jalen Hurts run. It it was pretty good. He picked up, I forgot what LSU player was it. I think it was Arden Key, but he went out there and it was like he was the left tackle. Remember, go look for this play. It was around the 10-minute, 45-second mark of the fourth quarter, and Bo Scarborough just knocked the guy out of the play. It was great. Great man-to-man by Ronnie Harrison. Like I said, he's continued to play well ever since that Kentucky game. Great man-to-man coverage by him around the 1-minute and 55-second mark of the fourth quarter. Like LSU was trying to move the ball down the field and maybe try to score and try to get themselves back in the game. But he played great coverage on that tight end, and it was great. Like I said, Alabama played great. My prediction, it didn't turn out score-wise the same way, but what I thought would happen, happened. Danny Etling's not a good enough quarterback to be Alabama. I say he's not Chad Kelly. He's not Austin Allen. He doesn't have that skill set. And so I wasn't expecting LSU to put up a lot of points on that, but I didn't know that we're not going to get any. But like I said, the LSU offensive line got manhandled by the Alabama front seven. This Alabama front seven is too good, and LSU couldn't match up. I believe Alabama's offensive line was better than what they were able to show yesterday, mainly because of play calling. Uh, but like I said, LSU lost the battle in the trenches, and that's why they lost this game. Alabama dominated on defense, and we could have been better on offense. But I got to give a lot of credit to Dave Aranda's scheme because that had a big part in why we struggled on offense. Alabama has to throw more shots down the field. We have the speed. Calvin Ridley, Ardarius Stewart. We have to open up these defenses so that we can run the ball. And let's not be afraid to run the ball up the middle. That's what I want to see. Mississippi State and Chattanooga, when these games come up so we can practice for Auburn, I want to see runs up the middle, and I want to see Jalen Hurts throwing the ball down the field. I don't care if he completes it or not. Just 5 shots down the field to Ardarius Stewart and Calvin Ridley. Great game, LSU. It's always exciting to play you. Looking forward to next year. Thanks for listening. This is the first part of my post-game thoughts. I want to look at some more of that line play. I want to see, was Arden Key beating Cam Robinson on those plays where he was setting the edges, or was he just kind of waiting the waters, kind of holding them up and maybe beating on the tight end a little bit? We'll see. I want to look at it a little bit more in depth. So thanks for paying attention this whole time. I really like doing these videos. See you on the next one.